And today I am here to show you a card that I made with the gorgeously made stamp set bundle, which is one of them that is in the current Stampin' Up! Annual catalog. And it's a really pretty bundle. Actually, it's a whole suite of products. There's designer series paper and some gems. And I used, I think, everything from the bundle everything from the suite on my card today. At least I think I did. Anyway, so this is what we're making today. And actually, I have another card to show you in just a second that it's the same layout, same sketch. It's a long story, but I accidentally made this card without realizing that I was supposed to make a card for a sketch challenge blog hop that we're doing on Thursday. And it's the exact same layout that I used on this card, so whoopsies. So I made two cards in a row that are basically the same card, only use totally different products. But I'll show you the card that I made actually is the one that I made with my new stamp set. So I'm excited to show it to you in just a second. All right, so this is gorgeously made. This is the card we're going to be making today. This is the stamp set. Again, just got some good sentiments, some basic greenery images, and then there's this kind of backgroundy, like kind of typed font look to it. And then this one that's also kind of a background or a border image as well. And then there's a cute set of dies that go with it. This is a little, kind of looks like torn paper, and I did use it on my card today, so I'll show you a little bit how that works. This one looks like a notebook edge, which is kind of cool. And then there's this one that I love, which cuts out a lot of different sentiments that we've got. And then just some greenery images. So again, this is a bundle. There's coordinating designer series paper, and there's some coordinating gems that go with it as well. So I see Connie and Pam and Mary and Joanna and Kimberly and Carol and Robin. Thanks so much. I'm glad y'all are here, and I'm glad that you almost double ordered it. It happens sometimes, Kimberly. I'm not gonna lie. I've had more than once and more than I'd like to admit double orders of things. So, all right. So hey, Carol, thanks for joining. So I'm gonna set the dies and stamp set aside. And a couple other things that I did use on this. I used the Petal Park stamp set and the coordinating Petal Park Builder Punch, which, like both of these two, they're really easy to use together. Again, love punches because, just stamp, punch, done. Always my favorite. And so I'll show you now. So, hey, Marilyn, thanks for hopping in. So I don't know if you know, a lot of you probably do. I passed $1 million in sales through Stampin' Up! Or with Stampin' Up! In personal sales. Gosh, it's been almost 2 years ago now. And they finally got my stamp set done and ready, and it is in the upcoming mini catalog that, and I'll actually be able to show you the stamp set and dies on tomorrow, which is Wednesday. I'm not allowed to show you the actual stamp set and dies before them, but they did tell me that I can show you projects that I've made. So this is one. So this is my first one that I made with it. And like I said, you'll be seeing this on my blog on Thursday, and I'll share a picture of the dies and a picture of the stamp set on Thursday as well. So it is a fall themed, and I do love fall. Fall is my favorite season by far. So it's got some pretty leaves in it. It's the distinctive look, and then there are layering pieces to it, and then there's some good sentiments, and there are some nice dies. There are dies that coordinate with the stamped leaves as well as some accessory dies. There are dies that coordinate with the sentiments. So I think it's pretty awesome, and I hope that you all like it. When you get your new mini catalogs, and for demonstrators, the stamp set and dies are on page 44 in the new mini catalog. So there. So all right, just wanted to give you a little quick sneak peek of that. And again, all the details for that card will be posted on my blog on Thursday, which is stampwithamyk.com. So I'm glad you guys are liking it. That makes me smile. So, hey, sneaking in from work, Karen, glad you're here. So, and thanks, Marilyn, glad you like the set. All right, so back to business. So let's do Stampin' Up! Has got a kits collection sale that has started today. You get up to 30% off all of the kits in the kits collection that are available now. Kits are sort of while supplies last. They kind of come and go. Some go away and they come back, and some go away forever. And so if it's showing us currently unavailable, it will be a kit that will be returned to stock. If it's gone, it's just gone. So anything that's available out there in the online store is under the kits collection is on sale for the month of August, which is an awesome deal. So Oh, thanks. I'm glad you are liking the set. Like I said, I think it's really pretty. I was happy with the way it turned out, and I love the sentiments in it. So, all right, there's a new kit, and it's actually on sale, which is a great deal. It would be $13, but I think it's on sale for $11.40 or something like that. So it's on sale, brand new kit. It is the Festive Tags kit. And I know this is a horrible picture of it. You can go see it in the online store, much better than what you can see it here. But it is holiday tags, and there are 15 of them in the box, and all the twine and everything that you need to tie them to your holiday gifts. And they look like they're pretty quick and easy to put together. Again, at $11.40 or 70 cents or whatever it is, that's a pretty much a steal of a deal on a kit. So go take a peek at it, and again, check out all the kits in the kits collection. Also, don't forget, if you earned any of those bonus days coupons during the month of July, make sure you're spending them during the month of August. They will expire at the end of August, and I hate for you to miss out on free money. That's always sad. So again, make sure you're spending those. You can apply as many as you want to each order. I am hearing from customers that you do have to put a comma and a space in between. So if you have multiple coupon codes, you can put them all in the little coupon code box. You just have to copy and paste, and then put a comma and a space, and then copy and paste the next one and a comma and a space, and copy and paste. So it does work to put multiple coupon codes in, just so you're aware of that. And then while you're in the online store and putting in your orders to spend your $5 coupons, make sure you're checking the online exclusives and seeing what's new and available out there. There's some holiday themed things, which is always good. And then I think this is the last thing. Tax-free holidays are coming in a couple of states. I think there are only 10 left. I want to say it's Arkansas, Florida, Massachusetts, Missouri, New Mexico, New Jersey, Ohio, California. I don't know. If you have a tax-free holiday coming up, take a peek on my blog, which is stampwithamyk.com. You can download this and see it actually in font that you can read it in. And it lists out everything that is available tax-free during your tax holiday from Stampin' Up! Because some of the items are considered school supplies. So that's an awesome little deal. Again, details are out on my blog, which is stampwithamyk.com. All right, after all that, let's get going on the card. So my original card I did as a top fold, because again, that's the card fold that I prefer. I know some of you like the side fold cards, and this card actually works with either fold. So we're going to do a side fold one. My original card is 4 1/4 by 11 and scored at 5 1/2 across the top. This card base is actually going to be 5 1/2 by 8 1/2 and scored at 4 1/4 down the middle. And it is not Poppy Parade. Pretty Peacock is the color that I'm trying to say. Too many P's. And we're just going to adhere a little piece of the Masterfully Made Designer Series paper. Again, it's all in the same suite with the Gorgeously Made stamp set bundle. Got a little bit of Stampin' Seal that I put down the edge. This is about, 3/4 of an inch, maybe closer to an inch, wide. And it's about 6 inches long, so it's a little longer than I need it to be, but I'm going to trim off the excess. I just want to make sure that I get it on here fairly straight. Flip it over and make sure, yep, looks like we're on there well. And then I'm just going to trim off the extra. And, there we go. All right, trim off that. Flip it over, and then I'm going to pull out a couple of pieces of basic white cardstock. So this one is about 3 1/2 inches wide by about 5 1/2 inches tall. This one started out at 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, so it was an actual quarter sheet of paper, and I cut it along the edge with the torn edge look die from the Gorgeously Made, yes, Gorgeously Made die set. And again, just kind of set it along the edge of it and cut it down to, it's about 4-ish inches wide by the time I get done with it at the widest point. So obviously there are some that are a little narrower, some that are a little wider. So it's about 4 inches wide at the widest point on the die cut piece. And we're going to do a little layering with that. That's why I have 2 of them that are kind of almost the same size. All right, so again, this one's about 3 1/2 by about 5 1/2, and we're going to do a little stamping on here. So I have got Pretty Peacock ink and one of the floral images from the Gorgeously Made stamp set. And inking that up once, and we're going to stamp it here on the basic white cardstock panel. And then I'm going to ink it up a second time and just stamp it a second time on the panel. All right, looks like we got it pretty inky. And I'm going to try not to overlap too much on the leaves, and if it happens, it happens. It's not a big deal. So, hey Debbie, thanks for hopping in from New Zealand. Glad you're joining. All right. And it looks like I got a little ink glob down there. I'll have to maybe, I don't know. We'll see if I can come up with a creative way to cover that or if we'll just leave it. All right. Next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a blending brush and Lost Lagoon ink. And I'm just going to brush on some Lost Lagoon ink around the edges of this. And you could do this either way around. I put the ink on first and then went back and stamped over the top of it, just because I find sometimes with the blending brush, if I get a little heavy-handed with it, it can actually kind of smear the ink a little bit. So I came back in after the fact and added in some additional stamped images over the top, and I'll show you how I did that in just a second. But when I was inking this panel, I kind of went a little bit heavier in the upper right corner, and then it gets a little bit lighter as it goes out on both sides from that. At least that was what I was aiming for when I was inking up the panel. All right, and because this is a little bit of a darker color, it doesn't take too many times of brushing the ink on to get enough to cover it the way I wanted it to look. So. All right, I'm going to close that. Actually, you know what? I didn't mean to close that up. Let me open it back up. And I'm going to grab this image, which looks sort of like typewritten font to me, kind of really old, worn typewritten font. And again, it's from the Gorgeously Made stamp set. We're going to ink it in Lost Lagoon ink, stamp it really good on my grid paper over here, and then we're just going to stamp it on my panel. And again, just going to repeat that a couple of times. I think we'll stick that one about there. And I'm not really, stamping these in any particular way or making sure that they're perfect or straight or anything like that. Just sort of adding a little bit of background noise. That's basically what I wanted to do with it. All right, let me close that up before I stick my fingers in it. And then we're going to go ahead and adhere the two pieces together. Again, like I said, this one started about 4 1/4 wide, and I trimmed it down to about 4 inches wide at the widest point, and this should be 3 1/2 inches if I measured everything correctly. And we're just going to adhere the two pieces together. All right, using a little Stampin' Seal. The trickiest part of the whole card is trying to get the corners lined up in here. Not that it's very tricky, but to me, that's the hardest part, is trying to get it lined up straight. Once you do that, the rest is easy. She says, before she really gets much done. All right, so I have got some linen thread, and as you can see, I'm getting down kind of to the end of my linen thread. I did grab an extra one in case I happen to run out. I think that I have enough to wrap it around the card a couple times here, but we'll see. Yep, looks like I'm good. I started to get a little panicky. I thought, oh, I have plenty, and then I looked at it and I'm like, oh, what if I don't have plenty, and then I don't want to be scrounging around for it. So I pulled an extra one out, or an extra little bit out before I got started. And I'm scooting this up a little bit because I want my bow to be up a little closer to the top. And when I tie a bow with linen thread or any of the thinner materials, I usually tie a knot first. And that holds everything in place so that I don't have to try to have, 3 hands on here, tugging and pulling and making sure everything is staying the way I want it to look for the rest of it. Now I can just mess around and tie the bow and make that look all pretty. Well, or as pretty as I can make it look. So, all right. There we go. And I think we'll call that good on the bow. I may trim just a hair off this because I feel like that one's a little longer than the other one, and now it's probably shorter, and I probably shouldn't have trimmed it, but all right, all good. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to adhere it to the card front with some of my chopped up Stampin' Dimensionals. I'm going to make sure that I put a couple of them on the outside here so that it holds the linen thread in place, because I want to make sure that doesn't accidentally slide off when I go to mail the card. So just put a couple dimensionals on the outside of it and you'll be all set. And a few on the inside as well, trying to make sure that this is fairly well supported. Oop, stuck on my finger and not on the paper. And maybe one more I'll stick here and then we'll call it good. All right. Now to peel all the backings off. So, hey Patricia, thanks for hopping in. Glad you're here today. So, checking out alive. All right, come on. There we go. I think we got them all off. And then I'm going to go back to my card base and just going to try to line it up here in the corner. And again, like I said, the trickiest part to me is lining things up straight, especially when you're layering them like this. Let me hold it up and take a look at it. I think I got it fairly straight on here. All right. Next thing I'm going to do is a little bit of stamping. So I did do one set ahead of time of the flowers, and then I'm going to grab the flower image from the Petal Park stamp set. Oh, I'm glad you're liking the flowers from the other set. Petal Park to me it's one that I kind of forget about, and then I pull it out and use it, and I'm like, I need to use this more often. And then I use it on a whole bunch of cards, and then I put it away and forget about it for a while. And then I pull it out again. So the only thing with this one is just be aware when you're stamping it, the littler flower is towards the top when you're going to go to punch it. So that's all. It just makes it a little bit easier depending on what paper you're using and how big the paper is and all that, and how easy you can turn it around. If it's a bigger piece of paper, just be aware, make sure that you're stamping the smaller flower towards the top so that it'll easily slide into your punch, and you're not going to have to wrestle around and chop it off, hopefully. So, hey, Drew, no problem. Thanks for hopping in. So, all right. So I have got Light Berry Burst for my flowers, and I'm just going to do a little bit of what I call scratchy coloring. It's not even nice coloring. It just sort of gets a little color on the flowers, kind of towards the middle of the petal, where the shading is already drawn in by Stampin' Up, which makes it a little easier to kind of know where to put the shading. So just do a little coloring right around the middle. And we're going to do that on all three flowers. A little bit more there, I think. Okay. And then I'm going to grab my color lifter. Couldn't think of the name of the flowers. Yep. They're from the Petal Park stamp set. So, and then I'm going to grab, like I said, the color lifter. And I'm just going to, again, take it and just scratch over the inked flowers. If you prefer and like it a little bit darker in color, you don't have to do the scratching over it with the color lifter like I'm doing. I wanted a little bit lighter, a little less intense color, but I still wanted the Berry Burst kind of to be the base of the color, if that makes sense. But I wanted a lighter version of it, so I just grabbed the color lifter and scratched right over the top of it. And again, it's not taking all the color away, but it's just lightening it enough that I liked the look of it. So it wasn't quite as intense, quite as bright. All right. And I do find when I do this technique, I usually use the bullet tip or the finer point on the marker. The wider one to me is a little too mushy for my taste when I'm doing this type of coloring, because I tend to kind of press down probably too hard, and then the other end of it gets all smashed and just doesn't color as nicely. So I tend to use the bullet tip for almost all things that I color. All right, and then I've got Lemon Lolly Stampin' Blends markers, and just going to color in the flower centers. I'm starting with light and putting that in here first. So we're going to color in the flower centers, and then I'll put just a little touch of dark Lemon Lolly, almost like a half moon shape basically on all of them. And we're going to call that good. So that's all there is for coloring of the flowers. So, very, very intense, very difficult, or not at all. All right, and I'm going to line it up here in the Petal Park Builder Punch and try to make sure I've got them in here straight. There we go. And I'm sure you can probably see on the back of this, anytime, especially if you're going to use the color lifter with any of your blends, make sure you've got them on top of scrap paper like I do, so that you don't end up with marker all over the top of your workspace. You'll probably be a little unhappy with that. At least I would be. Depending on your workspace, you may not care. But all right, got some little mini glue dots here, and we're just going to stick the flowers on to the card front. And again, I knew I was, except for, I'm guessing that ink is probably a little wet on there. The alcohol is maybe making it so that the glue dots don't stick as well. I'll see if I can get it. There we go. That worked better. And then I'm going to grab one of the kind of medium-sized flowers, and we'll stick that one up here near the top. And then one of the smaller ones. And I'm going to take that one and stick it out here on this end. And then the other little medium-sized flower maybe. There we go. Stick that one, I think we'll put that there. And then the smaller one. And we'll tuck that one in right there. And then we're just going to add a sentiment. So I'm glad you like the card. Like I said, it's super, super easy. Just a little bit of, blending on the side of it and little stamping and it's done. And it's a super easy card. And so, yeah, that's probably why I ended up doing 2 of them right in a row. Same card, only a little different design. All right. So I have got the thank you sentiment from the Gorgeously Made stamp set and Versamark ink. So you're going to get to hear the heat tool going again here. I'm going to ink it up well with Versamark and stamp it on Berry Burst cardstock. There we go. Close that up and get it out of the way so that hopefully I don't end up with embossing powder stuck to everything. And I've got white embossing powder from the Basics embossing powders. And oh, I see I got a big old halo on there. Oops. There we go. A nice thing about embossing powder is you can wipe most of the extra when you do that kind of a goober off of it. All right. And then I'm going to grab the Stampin' Up! Heat tool. It's got 2 settings on it. There's level 1 setting for drying. So if you're doing something like watercoloring or just using an ink that takes a little longer to dry, you can turn it on the level 1 setting and speed that process up a little bit. And then there's the level 2 setting for heat embossing, and that's what we're doing right now. So it just takes a second to heat up warm enough to actually heat emboss. So I just have it pointed off here in the distance, not pointing it at me. And then let's turn it here towards the project and see if we can get it to start turning just yet. There we go. You'll see it'll turn kind of a brighter white and get smooth and shiny. And I just blew dimensional covers all over the floor. Whoops. So I'm sure the dog will be covered with them in no time. All right, so there we go. All done. Once it gets smooth and shiny, give it just a second to cool off. And I have embossing powder stuck all over my fingers. Just give it a second to cool off before you run it through the die cutting machine or do anything with it, because you can smear the embossing powder until it cools off. And then I'm just going to grab one of these that looks a little like washi tape, I think is what it's supposed to look like, but I call it a banner die because it cuts out most sentiments. And I'm going to go run this through my die cutting machine. So I'll be right back. It's over here to my left. All right, and there's my little sentiment. And I'm going to bring my card back in and grab some of my little chopped up Stampin' dimensionals. The only thing I'm going to be aware of is that I am going to overlap it with the linen thread here. So I want to make sure that I keep the dimensionals over to the left-hand side of my sentiment when I'm putting them on. So I'm going to put 3 of them on. And again, if you prefer the mini dimensionals or the whole dimensionals, you're certainly welcome to use them on your card. I just prefer the half ones because I like the size of them better than either the minis or the whole ones. But that's just my personal preference. So that's the bonus of Stampin', is you get to do what you want. and that's what I want. So that's why I do it. All right. So sticking that on with a little bit of, or a couple of the Stampin' dimensionals. Then I'm going to grab, these are the Adhesive Back Sequins Trio, and they are part of the Sweet collection that has this stamp set and designer series paper in it. And I'm just going to grab a couple of those. I stuck them around sort of randomly on the card front. I think we'll stick one down here and then take one of the smaller ones, put it up. I don't know if I want it on the sentiment. I'll see. I think I'm going to move that because I don't like it already. I'm going to move that up here. I think I like it better on the white. And again, these are in the colors that coordinate with the designer series paper colors. And then we're just going to stick these down, smush them there. And that's it for the card front. So super easy, just a little stamping, a little blending, a little punch, a little die cut, done. All right, let me grab the panel for the inside of the card. So this is basic white, and I'm going to take, again, going to grab Pretty Peacock ink and the larger greenery image that I had stamped earlier, and we're going to stamp that in Pretty Peacock ink if I can clear off enough space on my mess of a desk to get that done. All right, I'm just going to take it and stamp it down here in the corner. There we go. And my Pretty Peacock ink pad is really inky, so it stamps really dark, but it does, as you can see, it lightens up once it dries, so it does look a little different hopefully you can tell on the screen anyway. As it dries, it definitely lightens up. So, all right, gonna grab my Stampin' Seal. I got junk all over my cardstock. Who knows what I'd put on there. All right, good thing it's going on the underside. All right, just gonna flip over my card base and stick that in here with the Stampin' Seal. Closing it up. And I forgot my bone folder, so I guess we'll just smush it down with my finger for this time around, and I'll grab my bone folder in a second and give it a good solid crease. Normally I like to do that when I'm on screen so I don't forget, but there we go. So that's it. So this one is the top fold version of the card. This is the side fold version of the card, so you can use either card base, whichever one you prefer, and make the card. So, and again, if you want to see my card, this will be my Thursday cards made with my new stamp set. So yay. And yeah, so basically same card, two different designs, a little different stamp set, different colors. You can make it be whatever you want it to be. So, all right, well, thanks so much for joining today. I appreciate you all being here. Have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday. I'll be posting all the details for this project on my blog tomorrow, and I'll link up to the blog post as soon as it goes live around 8 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. So all the details, all the cardstock cuts, the link to the PDF tutorial to recreate it, all that good stuff will be out on my blog tomorrow. And then I'll plan to be back around 2 o'clock Eastern time on Friday with another video, and then the following Tuesday with another video. And also, demonstrator pre-order from the new mini catalog starts tomorrow, which is August 2nd. I had to look at the date. So I may hop on, instead of doing a card project, I may hop on and show you all the good stuff that I got from the catalog. So I think most of you might prefer that over a card anyway. But we'll see how the day goes and see how the ordering goes, because sometimes the orders don't get sent out as quickly as they should be. And UPS drags its feet on getting it here. So if everything goes well and I have my stuff, I will plan to hop on and show you all the good things that I got from the mini catalog that I did in my pre-order. And as an added little bonus, if you are not a demonstrator and you join starting August 2nd, you can add things from the mini catalog as part of your starter kit and then pre-order anything else that you want once you join and get your 20% discount on it. So good time to join, because pre-order starting and all that good new stuff coming. So let me know if you have questions. Again, I will let y'all go. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll chat with y'all soon.